The physicists who worked with radium wore lead aprons. They used tongs to handle the material. They worked behind protective shields. The women on the factory floor were told to lick their paintbrushes. It's 1917. The United States has just entered World War I, and the military needs something specific. Soldiers who can read their watches in the dark. The United States Radium Corporation, based in Orange, New Jersey, has the answer. They manufacture a product called Undark, a luminous paint made from radium, a newly discovered element that glows green in the dark. It's going on the dials of military watches, aircraft instruments, gun sights. To apply it, they hire young women, hundreds of them, mostly teenagers and women in their early 20s, daughters of immigrant families. The pay is exceptional, 3 times what most factory jobs offered. The work feels modern, even glamorous. You're part of the war effort. The technique they're taught is called lip pointing. You take the fine brush, you shape the tip with your lips, you dip it in the radium paint, you apply it to the dial. Then you do it again. A single worker might do this hundreds of times a day. Some of the women love the work so much they bring it home. They paint their nails with the luminous dust. They paint their teeth so they glow when they smile in the dark. They go home with their hair and skin shimmering faintly green. Management watches all of this happen, and they say nothing. What management knew, and what they hid, is that radium is extraordinarily dangerous. Marie Curie, who discovered it, would eventually die from aplastic anemia caused by radiation exposure. The scientists at USRC knew this. Their own laboratory staff handled radium only with tongs. They wore lead-lined aprons. They worked behind protective glass. The women on the production floor got none of that. By the early 1920s, workers began getting sick. The symptoms were strange and brutal. Teeth started falling out. Then the jawbones beneath them began to rot. One woman's jaw crumbled so completely that a doctor was able to lift it out with 2 fingers. Women were losing weight, developing severe anemia. Some couldn't walk. USRC hired a physician named Frederick Flynn to examine the sick workers. He conducted physicals and issued his conclusion. The women were healthy. Any illness they had was unrelated to the factory. He was not a licensed physician. USRC knew this. He was paid by them and reported to them. When workers or their families pressed harder, USRC had a second answer. The women had syphilis. It was a calculated lie, one designed to silence working-class women through shame in an era when that diagnosis carried enormous social stigma. Most of them stopped talking. Grace Fryer was a dial painter who had started showing the same symptoms: deteriorating teeth, jawbone decay, fatigue. She wanted to sue. For 2 years, she couldn't find a lawyer willing to take the case. Nobody wanted to go up against USRC. In 1927, she finally found representation. She and 4 other women, all severely ill, some barely able to walk, filed suit against United States Radium Corporation. The press called them the Radium Girls. USRC's legal team tried everything. They argued the statute of limitations had expired. They requested delay after delay, betting that the women would die before the case reached trial. Several of them almost did. The case drew national attention. Photos of the 5 women, frail, visibly dying, but composed, ran in newspapers across the country. Public pressure became impossible to ignore. In 1928, USRC settled. Each woman received $10,000, an annual pension, and guaranteed medical coverage for life. It wasn't a trial verdict. It was a settlement reached under the weight of public outrage. But it mattered. The Radium Girls case directly shaped American labor law. It established that workers could sue employers for injuries that developed over time, not just accidents. and that corporations could be held liable for knowingly exposing employees to hazardous conditions. It was one of the first major cases to demonstrate that occupational safety wasn't just a worker's problem. It was a legal liability. Several of the women died within years of the settlement. Grace Fryer died in 1933. The youngest plaintiff, Quinta McDonald, was 33. In 1927, a researcher exhumed the body of one of the original victims to study her remains. The bones were still radioactive. Decades later, when researchers tested burial sites of dial painters in Ottawa, Illinois, where a second radium factory had operated, they found the same thing. The bodies were emitting radiation that their Geiger counters could still detect. Radium-226 has a half-life of 1,600 years. United States Radium Corporation eventually rebranded. The company changed its name several times over the following decades. The Orange, New Jersey factory site was declared a Superfund hazardous waste site in 1983. Soil remediation wasn't completed until 2005. The women who painted those watch dials, who were told the glow was beautiful, that the work was safe, that their bodies were healthy, are still in the ground there, still glowing.